So the plan was, she was going to drive the moving truck. She had done it a bunch before and had experience. And I was going to drive my own car. And that way together we would like have room for all of our things. And we decided to bring Jamison along because in case she got really tired driving the moving truck, I could take over driving it for her, and Jamison could just take over driving my car. And in the meantime, he'd just be riding along. So we asked Jamison if he wanted to do it. We said we would pay for all of his food and stuff while he was with us, and he agreed. So we celebrated Christmas 2011. That picture of me and Jamison, I got the red sweater on. Celebrated Christmas 2011, and the very next day, the very next morning, we set out.
I think that's it for this island.
I think so.
Oh.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's a really good... I would have hated to miss that.
Damascus. Isn't that... I'm thinking of Final Fantasy 12. There's a place called Dalmasca.
I've received a text message.
Don't they know you're recording?
Don't they know I'm recording Kingdom Hearts 3? The video game sensation of the beginning of 2019.
I think it's a pretty good way to start off the year, honestly.
Yeah, it is. That and Piranha Plant and Smash.
Oh, yeah. By the end of this year, we're going to be like, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out in 2019? Wow.
I'm really hoping for a Nintendo Direct very soon.
Yeah.
I want some new... I want to, like, find out the next DLC character. I want a new announcement. Even though I know it'll be a while before, like, we get a new... Like, even Joker's probably another few months out. But I just want to, like, know more.
Yeah. Just to be, like... Just to have something that, like, to anticipate in the future.
I'm praying every day for Banjo-Kazooie. It's like, please, Nintendo.
Like, literally praying every day.
Don't do Spyro the Dragon. Don't do Crash Bandicoot. Like, bring back Banjo. He was on your system. He was like one of the big hitters on the N64. Just make nice with Microsoft. Be friends with Square. I mean, not Square. Rare.
Yeah.
He would have such a brilliant moveset. I mean, I don't know, not so much brilliant, but just like...
Something that would work.
It would work extremely well because they have so many moves in their games, and it's a bear who uses a bird. Like,
it's pretty unique.
That needs to be in Smash.
Yeah, I'd love it. I think it'd be cool. We should record some Smash sometime.
Yeah.
Oh, John told me you can do the Spirit Board two players.
Yeah,
now.
multiplayer. Yeah, the same patch that introduced Piranha Plant.
Yeah. I saw. He showed me all the balance changes. There's a lot of stuff they did.
They really overhauled it. Yeah. Apparently
they like really buffed Jigglypuff.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I saw where they nerfed K. Rool's.
They did nerf
recovery.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other stuff, but I know his
They
recovery.
barely touched Ganondorf.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They nerfed him a tiny bit.
I think they made Incineroar better. Like, his up special goes higher now before it launches down. Which is good. He kind of needed that.
I did see they made some change to Roy. I don't think it was... I don't know. I don't remember what you were talking about with him. Like, while we were going through that, classic mode.
I don't remember.
You were saying, like, he feels different or something?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember how, but I remember, like, not feeling as good with him. For all I know, he might be better, but just, like, the way I, in particular, like to use him was made less feasible or something.
Alright.
Those crabs. They look like little blue hamburgers.
Maybe that's what they really are.
My brother's best friend yesterday posted. They recorded music together, like hip hop, and my brother would just like do like lyric, like I don't know, I don't think you call it singing. He would do the vocals. I don't know what the term for that in hip hop is, but hip hop lingo. But his friend would do vocals and also like mix the music, and he produces like electronic music and stuff too. But anyway, he yesterday he posted, it was like the last song they ever recorded together that he hadn't like finished mixing and like finalizing yet. He finally did it. Posted it. It was good. Like, I was kind of shocked. Like, I never saw my brother do this stuff. Like, I never really saw him practicing.
Yeah.
It was kind of a hobby and a talent he started developing after I like stopped really seeing him much. Like, I guess after I'd moved out. But I mean, it's like, I don't know if you ever. You know, everyone's trying to like make it in the music industry and be famous, so I don't know what would have come of it, but he was good. Like, he was a lot better than most people will ever be. You could listen to it and be like, this is a guy who knows what he's doing, and he can competently do hip hop. It's just. Sucks that he died.
Yeah. It's like kind of strange seeing that like after the fact.
Yeah.
And being like, wow, he probably could have gone somewhere with this.
At the very least, he could have kept producing stuff and been happy.
Yeah.
He loved doing it. One time he accidentally I think he butt dialed me with his cell phone while he was driving.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, hello? And I heard him like rapping, I guess, like, and he didn't, I was like, hello? Jamison, hello? And he,
oh wait, left.
oh, good call. Oh, shoot.
You have to get in the ship.
Okay. Anyway, I guess he didn't know he'd called me, so he was, like, practicing while he was driving. And, he was not nearly as good back then. That was a long time ago, so it must have been, like, when he was just first starting to try and do it.
Yeah.
He hadn't, like, developed his voice yet.
Are you just gonna swim all everywhere?
I'm trying to make my way back to the ship, like around the corner of the
Oh,
island.
I see, okay.
Oh, what's this? Nothing. It's nothing. It's just like light or something. Yeah. I think one of the last things I saw that he had posted on, or no, it was like, I think it was for his friend Josh's birthday, because he died very shortly after his best friend's birthday, but he posted on his wall and he was like, happy birthday, you're my best friend Josh, and I'm gonna go back to California and we're gonna make music together forever. And because like that was his plan, he was gonna leave Colombia for a while because he was like having trouble there, like with trying to switch jobs and stuff. Apparently they had messed up his visa somehow, and so like the guy who had hired him had done so kind of either intentionally or maybe by accident, but
You have to like stop.
yeah, I
driving.
gotta stop the ship.
Good job, Donald.
Thank you, Donald. Oh.
You like stand right there.
Anyway, his plan was to go back there for a while where he had been, and they're gonna keep making music with this friend. Buster Band.
Prepare to set sail!
Don't do drugs. Wait.
Don't do drugs.
Oh, I'm the... Okay.
Yeah, you're the key.
I thought I was the knife for a second. I'm going the wrong way. Okay. So there's like one island kind of in the middle I haven't been to. Can't even drink my latte, my peanut butter mocha. The ships keep popping up.
Our friends
Oh,
are
it's
waiting for our help.
so much easier to kill those things.
Yeah.
Right?
What a delight. Have I been to that little island there? No.
I do like this music.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, where the Moogle is?
Oh, there's an... Oh, hello.
Yeah, it's
This.
with a Moogle on it.
Fire!
I think the music is... There's a lot of, like, redone music in this. Like, not as much original music, I guess, but I think it's all really well done. Oh, you got the tidal wave. Have you used that yet?
Yeah, I've used it.
It's kind of funny.
Let's do this.
Just go flying up into the air.
Woohoo!
You can kind of steer it, too. Just land on top of the other ship.
It's a good feeling.
You feel their bodies breaking beneath you. Chase them!
Just my one big complaint with this game is that you don't have a Legend of Zelda Keyblade. It turns into a Master Sword with like
Yeah.
a Triforce keychain.
This.
Missed opportunity there.
Just like put as much Zelda into the design as you can. Gotta have Triforce.
I heard Sora talking in yours, but not in mine. And I'm like, oh, he's saying it in the left one because that's where he is, like, on that side of the screen.
It ends here.
It stopped recording.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I hear, like, the beep.
Oh, I gotta board the
Yep.
ship.
Oh, man. I really like the Keyblade for this world.
I'm just gonna...
Take this.
Just want him gone.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Just a high potion.
Well, okay. Is this where I... Yeah.
Yeah. North. Land ho!
Wait a second. Oh no, I didn't mean to do this. Oh no, I didn't mean to do this.
It's okay. Like, you'll be able to go back.
Luxord!
You do know how to make good time. Yes, one must simply marvel at your celerity. But such compulsive behavior is eventually going to bring you nothing but sorrow.
Lost him again!
How are we gonna go after him?
Right!
I don't... Okay, I hope I'm cut out for this fight now.
Fire!
I mean, you're past the level I was when I did this.
Yeah, but I'm not good at this game.
Honestly, just keep moving, like, go fast, and, like, just keep doing circles around them. It's basically what I did.
Go! Full speed! Get him! Go!
Alright,
Fire!
Aim for the glowy. There you go.
do this.
Yeah, I'm doing way better this time.
All right.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
You just like stabbed it.
Speed.
I'm trapped.
I call wins.
When he says that I call wins, it sounds like he's about to say like I call doing this.
Oh yeah.
Get him. Go.
I call shotgun.
Yeah.
I call dibs.
All right.
Trying to escape your wrath.
Is this the only one left?
Go.
I think so. He's the only one on the map.
Oh, okay.
Get him. All right.
Alright.
Fire. Take this.
Okay.
Here we go. Round 2. These guys are a little harder.
Oh, and I don't get my health back.
Take this.
Just aim for the glowy balls
call wins.
and use the special
We
abilities.
got him now.
I think that's what generates the meter by shooting the glowy balls.
All right. Take this. All right.
Oh, there's still a few more.
Uh-huh.
Or the other guys.
Right there.
All
Block!
right.
Oh, is it?
Oh, you hit the tornado.
Go.
Shoot.
Yeah.
How they move around. Like in the clouds. Well, they just head right for you.
Jeez.
All right.
I don't like that it takes me 7 years to get to where I can even see them. Like, angle the thing around.
Yeah.
So they have like homing attacks.
Yeah, you can shoot those though. With the big black shots. You can shoot them before they get to you and take them out. Like that one there.
Okay.
The actual cannon fire, you have to just use your shield. Okay, they're moving some right in front of you, I think. Yeah. Just get the green one there. You should be weak. There you go. You almost have enough for an ability.
Yeah.
Fire. I call flames.
Oh yeah.
Keep going, Sora.
I think by taking out the big one, you end the fight, maybe?
Hear my call.
I forget.
Woohoo!
Holy crap!
Cannons.
Disappeared. Still doing pretty good on health.
Defense.
Oh, good God. Look how many there are.
Cannons. Fire. Yeah. Fire. Full speed. Go.
There. You're ready. They're gonna fire.
Let's do this. Here we go.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Water gun.
Whew. I'm really glad I don't have to do that again.
He's plotting to swipe the chest in the heat of battle. To Shipwreck Cove! Fast!
That little island is not Shipwreck Cove, right?
No. the next area is.
Right, okay.
It's basically where you do like the final battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The open sea and like being in the water is terrifying. Like the idea of that.
Oh, like just real life
Yeah.
idea of that? Yeah.
All the things that could eat you.
There's still a lot of things we don't know about, like the deep ocean.
We know enough. We know that it's horrifying.
Yeah. So the things that live so deep down,
Yeah.
they don't even have eyes because they don't need them. It's like,
It's goofy.
the further down you go, the more you start seeing just things that look like aliens.
Yeah.
Come on to Shipwreck Cove.
Goofy's really excited.
Yeah.
Come on to.
Come on!
Come on.
Alright.
Quiet Bill Farmer.
Betwixt.
That's a fun word. Happy Gear.
Oh boy. Sure, why not?
I think I probably like Kingdom of Corona the most.
It was good. I really like that. I really like Frozen too. Like the music, the actual
Yeah.
like running around music in Frozen was great.
Yeah. It's cool you get Marshmallow as a
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
party member.
Yeah.
It's probably the biggest party member ever in a Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger than Beast.
Okay, we're
I
off.
mean, Baymax is kind of big, but he's not huge.
Las Piratas de Caribbean.
C.
It's a bunch of crabs.
They're everywhere.
Guys, are you okay?
Sora, you're a welcome sight.
We've all been quite worried about you.
Isn't that...
Sora?
Where's Jack? And Tia Dalma?
I'm afraid you've missed a few things while you've been gone.
Jack. He's been taken by Cutler Beckett.
Yes. And Beckett commands Davy Jones and the Flying Dutchman.
Barbossa thought we could defeat them if we released Calypso, the goddess of the sea, who was really Tia Dalma, bound in human form.
What is with the white
But it didn't
crabs?
work.
I don't know.
Aye, a fickle goddess Calypso be.
So what now?
Nothing.
You'd best
Our
start
final
believing
hope
in
is
white
famous.
crabs.
Use that key to free me, Sora, and you have my most certain promise. All the power under sea you ever wished for be yours.
So... Tia Dalma was Calypso. She's the one who was helping us. And you know what? I think that she might just be able to help us again.
Is there a significance
You
of the
can't give
crabs
up
in the
now.
movie?
We can all fight together. The sea belongs to everyone.
I don't remember.
I said that. Don't copy my expressions.
Clown looks too happy saying that.
You did?
Sometimes it just goes in one ear and right out the other.
Wait, really?
Yes!
It's not over. There's still hope for us. You will listen to me. Listen! The Brethren will still be looking here to us. To the Black Pearl to lead. And they will see free men and freedom! Our enemy will see the flash of our cannons and hear the ring of our swords, and they will see the courage of our hearts as we succeed and they fail. Gentlemen, hoist the colors!
Hoist the colors!
Hoist the colors!
Isn't that kind of racist?
Hoisted the colors. He's got something on his face. Gross looking shit.
Oh, I knew it was you!
So that's the Flying Dutchman.
The chest Jack told you about has the heart of Davy Jones in it. There's no way it's the chest that you're looking for.
No one knows what's in the chest we're looking for. If it's a black box, then we are to collect it. Simple as that.
You don't know what's in it? Then why do you need it? How will you know you found it?
Got me. Regrettably, the higher-ups haven't deigned to tell us. But they did say the box contains hope.
Huh?
That's all you'll get from me. It's far too chaotic to find the box like this. Perhaps I'll remove that ship from the picture. Now this should afford me time to look.
They're looking for hope?
It's Wednesday, January 8th. I wanted to get this out by New Year's Day, but that didn't happen. I was busy and then I got sick. I'm still sick. I hope it's not too obvious from my voice in this video. It's pretty cold out. It's been raining for about 3 days. It finally stopped and I'm kind of taking my chances coming out here to record. I hope it doesn't start raining again on all my camera stuff. Anyway, I thought it'd be appropriate to finally tell the story of when Jamison and I drove to Seattle. We spent the last 6 days of 2011 driving there. I guess I'll just go ahead and tell it. So I don't want to get too into the details of this. It's just kind of necessary background information, but I dated someone for over 5 years. We were engaged for part of the time. Not together anymore. But it was because of this person that I was going to move to Seattle. So we made plans to go there together. So I lived in Tennessee at the time, and we were going to move there in the winter, driving a moving truck. And you can't really go diagonally across the states in the winter if you're driving because of like snowy, icy mountain passes and stuff. So what we did was we went straight west on I-40 from Tennessee to California, and then went straight north on I-5. So the plan was she was going to drive the moving truck. She had done it a bunch before and had experience, and I was going to drive my own car. And that way together we would like have room for all of our things. And we decided to bring Jamison along because in case she got really tired driving the moving truck, I could take over driving it for her, and Jamison could just take over driving my car. And in the meantime, he'd just be riding along. So we asked Jamison if he wanted to do it. We said we would pay for all of his food and stuff while he was with us, and he agreed. So we celebrated Christmas 2011. That picture of me and Jamison, I got the red sweater on. Celebrated Christmas 2011, and the very next day, the very next morning, we set out. We drove south from Clarksville down to, we went to Memphis, and I think it was in Memphis we started going west. We went through Arkansas, and the first night we stayed in Forest City, Arkansas. And the hotel we stayed at, we had some like plastic bottles or cans or something, probably energy drinks, that we had finished. So we asked the lady at the desk at the hotel where the recycling was, and she said, "We don't do that in this town, like in this town, in this city. They don't do recycling, I guess. I don't know." So we did not recycle our stuff at that hotel. It was a funny story. It was Forest City, Arkansas. That was the first night. We drove all day. Finally stayed there at night. The next morning, we got up again and started driving. Drove through Arkansas, drove through Oklahoma. Second night, we stayed in Shamrock, Texas. Jamison and I had never been to Texas before. It looked about like people who've never been to Texas probably think Texas looks like. It really does just look like that, at least on the interstate, around the interstate. Sand and cacti and stuff. Next day we got up, we drove the rest of the way through Texas. We drove through Arizona. We stopped in Flagstaff, Arizona, and it was really snowy and beautiful there. I've never been back since, and we didn't stay there for long. We got some fast food or something. But I really liked it. I really liked Flagstaff. It was cool. I don't know if it would always be cooler if it was just because it had snowed a lot, but it seemed like a really cool place. Drove through Arizona, and then that night we stopped in New Mexico. I forget which city. We stayed at a hotel in New Mexico. At some point, and I don't remember exactly when, we stopped in Albuquerque because we had to fill up the gas in the moving truck and had to do something else. We stopped in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that was one of the coolest cities I've ever been in. It was like, the part we were in was overlooking a cliff. It was really cool. I ended up talking to the person I was dating. Sat in the truck with her and we talked about some stuff for a while. I think I remember she was stressed about some of the logistics of us moving, but we figured it out. Jamison went off on his own, I guess to get something to eat, and we just told him to come back. He told me later that he had run into some like tattooed, shaved head, like neo-Nazi looking guy, and the guy had been like, "How's it going, brother?" And there's that. We didn't stay in Albuquerque, we just stopped there for an hour or so. Yeah, so we stayed in New Mexico the night after Shamrock, Texas. Got up the next morning and drove to California. We're still going west at this point. So we stopped in the city of Barstow for the night. Barstow didn't seem like it had much to it. It was just like some city, like some consumer bubble. It didn't seem like it had a ton of character. We parked in the parking lot of like a restaurant we went to, or it might have been the hotel, I forget. And there was a drink cup, like a fast food drink cup, on one of the divider things in between the parking spaces. And Jamison, being a kind of rambunctious teen, just like went up and knocked it over with his hand for no reason, sending a cup into the parking lot where before it had not been. The person I was dating did not like that. I didn't really like it either, honestly, but he was starting to grate on her nerves at this point. She told me in private whisper, like, he's driving me crazy. The hotel we stayed at, we were talking to the guy at the desk trying to work out a room, and Jamison sat down on a chair near the front desk, and there was a piece of art. It was this really complex set of, it's hard to describe. It wasn't like a picture of a person or like a model or anything. It was like a design, a pretty complex design that somebody had been drawing, and it was pretty cool. And Jamison picked up the pencil that was there and started writing on the middle part. And the guy at the desk, I guess at some point noticed him doing that out of the corner of his eye, and noticed he'd been doing that for a while he was talking to me and my girlfriend. So after we got done talking to the guy at the desk, got our room in order and everything, we started to head up to the room, and the guy came out and looked at the picture, and then we had gone into like a side area of the hotel to go up the stairs or in the elevator or something, I can't remember, and the guy ran in and he was like, "Hey, that's not cool, man. What you did, that's not cool." And he was talking to Jamison, and so that had been his art. And Jamison was like, "Oh, sorry," and didn't really know what to say, because you can't really say much of that. You just kind of ruined somebody's art. Went up to the hotel room, and I ended up going back down into the lobby a little bit later. Went up to the guy at the desk, and the guy saw me coming in immediately. It was just like, "Man, I'm sorry," before I even said anything. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. I said, "Yeah, that's my younger brother, and I'm sorry about that." And the guy, he like had erased what Jamison had written, but Jamison had written I heart poop in the middle of that picture. And the guy had tried to erase it, but he couldn't get it all the way out. So he said, "This is actually something that I've been working on for my mother." And I was like, "Man, I don't know what to say. I'm really sorry." And he said, I was like, "Is there any way you can..." The guy said, "It's okay, I'm going to try to work around it, I'm going to try to fix it." And I was like, "Is there anything you can do? Can you get rid of it?" And he's like, "It's there. I can't totally get rid of it, but I'm going to continue working on it in such a way that it covers it up, I think." And the guy said, he told me there was a certain point in my life where if things had been a little different, if I hadn't known what I know now, your brother and I would have been fighting out in the parking lot or something. It wasn't a threat. He was just talking about life. I don't know. It was apparently a really meaningful thing to him that he'd drawn for his mom, and he was just kind of feeling thoughtful and reflective, I guess. But yeah, I apologized. I told Jamison later. Jamison never, I don't know if he felt guilty or how much he really cared. He might have cared. He might have felt a little guilty. There's not much he can do about it at that point. And he's never been one to show a lot of emotion and express a lot of anything. So he didn't really respond too much. He might have seemed maybe a little bit annoyed that I even brought it up to him, but he might have just been uncomfortable, I don't know. Anyway, that was Barstow. Barstow wasn't a great time. The next day, we started driving north on I-5. Oh, I should say, at some point in California, we went to In-N-Out Burger. We liked it. As Damien said a few videos back, he and Jamison were always looking for Jamison's Burger together in California. and this was Jamison's first taste of a famous California burger. We went to In-N-Out together. I think we went through the drive-thru. He got hungry a lot. Jamison wanted to eat like constantly on that trip. He'd been working out a lot in Clarksville, so he was in the habit of eating a ton. And he just got hungry constantly. And it was actually really annoying. He had to go to the bathroom a lot, and he wanted to stop and eat a lot. And there's only so many times we can get off the interstate and like still, you know, make good time during the day. It was a lot. Anyway, yeah, left Barstow, started driving north on I-5. Rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of orange trees for a long time. This might have been before I-5. I can't remember now. It's been a long time. It's 2011. And that was 8 years ago. We had to drive on some other highway before we got to I-5, I think. I don't remember which one. Maybe both had all the orange trees, but it was kind of boring. There were a lot of orange trees. Now, this was the second to last day of driving for us. For most of the trip, Jamison and I had talked on and off in the car. Hours and hours and hours, you gotta talk about something. There were times when I drove the moving truck and Jamison was alone in my car, driving it. But most of the time it was me and Jamison, me and my brother. That's, for the most part, how I remember this trip. So we were talking about whatever, I guess, while driving through California, while driving through all these orange trees. And at some point we started getting into Northern California, and the scenery, the landscape changed and became just beautiful. And Jamison and I stopped talking. We just started looking out the window, gaping at the postcard scenery everywhere, the stuff that you've seen pictures in magazines, high resolution, you know, photos and stuff. But you realize when you see it that you've never seen something this beautiful in person, and you're seeing it now. We could hardly speak. And it might sound like I'm being dramatic, but I'm not. Like, it was just green trees and hills everywhere. It was beautiful. I can't sit here and describe it on camera because you just paint a really basic picture in your mind, but it was... Northern California is to this day one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. Northern California and the Pacific Northwest in general. So Jamison and I are staring out the window just saying, "Oh my God," every few minutes. We passed several hours that way. I guess we're just a couple of consumer bubble Clarksville, Tennessee boys who hadn't seen a lot. I don't know. We were really affected by it. Stayed that night in Redding, California. Beautiful place, gorgeous place. We ordered a pizza. I forget the company. I think it was a local Redding company. Stayed at a hotel there. Got up the next morning. This was the last day of doing this. Got out of California, drove through Oregon. In Oregon, the trees started to be covered in moss and stuff. It was interesting. Got through Oregon, got into Washington. We finally got to Seattle. It was around 11:30 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Found our apartment. Parked the moving truck up on the street nearby. Started moving our stuff into the place. It turned midnight 2012 at some point while we were moving all the boxes in there. That's how we brought in the new year, was moving boxes out of a truck, piling them in my apartment, going back for more. Of course, we didn't do all of it that night. We just kind of got the essentials and then went to sleep in the apartment. Woke up the next day and Jamison helped us unload the rest of the truck. It took a really long time. The lady who worked in the office of the apartments I lived in, her name was Paula. She had a really nice voice. Hard to describe. I have synesthesia, I think you pronounce it that way, synesthesia. And that is when a person associates one sense with another. And I don't know why, but to me, voices are often associated with like texture and taste sometimes. In my mind, I can't really describe what I'm talking about if you don't also experience it. But This lady, Paula, her voice was like sweet. It was like candy. That probably sounds gross, but I'm not saying it in like a flirty... I've heard old ladies old enough to be my grandmother whose voices I would describe the same way. Anyway, yeah. Jameson said he and Paula were going to get married to me. Brought in all the stuff. We went back and forth from truck to apartment with boxes. Jameson said some really funny stuff. Jameson was just one of the funniest people I knew. He made me laugh a lot while we were doing that. Finished all that, and I guess he stayed with us for another 2 or 3 days. We had a couple days in Seattle to go see stuff, and we took him down to Pike Place Market. Took him to eat some pho, Vietnamese noodles that I had never had before I went to Seattle. Took him to beautiful Alki in West Seattle, which is like a man-made beach. West Seattle is where all the rich people live. I guess Seattle, and at this point, Seattle in general is where all the rich people live, or where all the poor people who are struggling to pay their rent live. A lot of homeless people in Seattle too. West Seattle is kind of upscale, and Alki is beautiful. I had first gone there at night. I visited Seattle before I moved there, and I had gone to Alki at night and seen the city lights of Seattle across the water. I came to this location today to record because this is the closest thing I have near me in Korea to Alki. This lake. Alki was great. We took Jamison there, walked along the beach. We have some photos there. Some of the photos I've already used in this tribute series were taken at Alki. Us looking like we're posing for album covers. Not trying to, it's just kind of how it turned out. There's a picture of us walking along, me with my red hoodie, Jamison with his hat. I'm holding like an empty or half empty or something glass bottle of like a Starbucks Frappuccino, like those drinks you can buy in the gas station. So we showed him some stuff, showed him around. A couple days later, he flew back to Tennessee, and then it was just me and my girlfriend in Seattle, and I started my life in Seattle. My time in Seattle was a mixed bag. For the most part, it was wonderful and fantastic, and when I had to leave, I thought I would like to live there again someday. Now I'm not sure. I've changed a lot. Seattle's kind of changed some too. I don't know, we'll see. That's not relevant. When Jamison got back at some point, he got on Google Maps and he found some point in Seattle, maybe I don't know, Pike Place or something, I don't remember. And he messaged me and told me this. He found some point in Seattle and on Google Maps, and I think it was Google Earth. Yeah, that's what it was. So it like had the satellite images and he could see like actually what he was looking at. And he worked his way up from that point and spent hours and found our apartment that he had moved our stuff into. I guess he probably found the interstate. That was such a Jamison thing to do. My dad told me that Jamison had come back talking really excitedly about the trip, really positively. The year before that, in 2010, I had been west just to Denver, Colorado for a few days for a writers' conference with my college. That was the furthest west I had ever been until this trip. Jamison had never been west, really. So, seeing all, like, 6 days of driving, seeing the landscape changing, going from what we were used to in Tennessee to kind of swampy-looking parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma, to flat cowboy Texas, to rocky Arizona, rocky New Mexico, Southern California, Northern California, just seeing all this stuff, seeing how big everything was and how drastically different everything was as you went further west, seeing how drastically different the landscape became. It had opened his eyes to what was out there. It had made him want to travel, and he was excited. He was excitedly telling people about our trip together. I don't know if it was necessarily... I don't think it was necessarily because it was like us as brothers going together. I think it was mostly just what he had seen. But that is one of my favorite memories of Jamison. On this trip, I think he was doing drugs. At this point, I knew he had had problems with drugs. I didn't quite know how bad. And on the trip, he would take some pills sometimes, and I asked him what he didn't explain anything. So at some point I asked him what they were, and he said I forgot what he said. He said they were from the doctor, and he needed I don't know, like headaches or something. I believed him. I think he was probably lying to me. I do think that now. I think I was being gullible. But yeah, pretty sure he was doing drugs. So I don't know how lucid he was for some of that time. I mean, we had conversations, and he was able to hold the conversations just fine. I don't know I don't know much about drugs. I don't know what a lot of different drugs do. He had to go to the bathroom a lot, and I wonder if maybe that was part of it. Maybe he didn't actually have to go to the bathroom, but maybe he had needles and wanted to shoot up in the bathroom. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I never saw needles. I just saw some pills he was taking. I think it was on this trip that at one point we were talking about what we would do if we got a ton of money, like if we won the lottery and got however many $1 million. And he said he would get on a boat with a lot of drugs and just like be out on the water on this kind of like party boat thing doing drugs with, I guess, his friends or other people or whatever. Which really disappointed me that he said that, and so openly. So like he was just so freely admitting that he enjoyed recreational drug use. I mean, because I didn't want that, and it's just not the attitude I wanted him to have. I wanted him to not want to do drugs. This stuff I'm talking about now did not characterize the whole trip for me, or my memories of it. It's an aspect of it. But overall, the trip was a very positive thing for me and for him. We talked a lot, and I don't even remember what we talked about most of the time. I had a lot of energy drinks. Some of them I think I hadn't tried before, and some of them I had, but wanted to try again because I hadn't had them in a while. I really liked energy drinks back then. And I had one called Slap Frost, which I don't think is made anymore, but you could buy it at Walmart. A guy I knew had recommended it to me. And so we had like a cooler in the back. And it was late enough in the afternoon that it could maybe be seen as unreasonable to drink a high caffeine drink, but I kind of wanted to. So I asked Jamison, I was like kind of asking him like fishing questions where I'm like beating around the bush. I'm like, so are you tired? Or like, we have this much longer to go. What do you think? Should we? And finally he just kind of cut through all the BS, and he was like, so you're saying we should try Slap Frost is what you're saying? And he like had a smile on his face. And I said, yeah, okay. We cracked open a can of Slap Frost and shared it. We shared all those drinks. I don't know what else we had. I can't remember. Probably some variation of Monster. These are minute details I think most people are not going to care about, but I remember this stuff. And I want to... Maybe I won't always remember it. I'd like to have a record. I'd like to put it somewhere. So into the video it goes. This is what I do. But yeah, Jamison, he got hungry a lot. He had to use the bathroom a lot. In Seattle, we bought some milk, and Jamison was saying he was hungry. And at this point, my girlfriend and I were kind of tired of spending a lot of money on his food, which we had said we were going to like buy his food if he came with us, but we didn't know how much he was going to eat. So she tried to bargain with him, like, here's some milk in the fridge. I have a 2-liter of milk. You can have some of that, and then that can hold you over until whenever we go eat. Jamison looked at her and was like, girl, I can drink that in an hour. Which I guess he thought was kind of funny, but it probably just irritated her. We spent a lot more money than we wanted to on his food. Jamison didn't like the pho, the noodles. To be fair though, he didn't get the one I recommended. He got one with like tripe or something, like some kind of, it's like cow stomach. And he didn't like it. And he was like, no offense to the Vietnamese, but pho kind of sucks. But pho is actually great. I think he just got the wrong thing. Should have just gotten the standard one with beef or whatever. I wonder if he had pho again before he died. Anyway. Like, I'll never be able to ask him if he ever tried pho again. And not that it is super important, but these types of little things that one might like to know. Have you ever seen this movie? Have you ever read this book? Have you ever tried this? Can't ask him, won't know. The pho restaurant, it was in the U District in Seattle, and I think it was called Ton Brothers. I think. That's where we got pho. Because that's where I'd gotten pho when I first visited, and I really liked that place, so I wanted to take him to that specific place. It was like this big open room where people are just kind of crowded in. It felt like a big kitchen. It's really cold out here, my hands are cold. I think it was probably this trip we took that to some degree increased the appeal of rehab to Jamison. Because my parents sent him to rehab, first in like Nashville, but then later in California. And I think maybe part of it was just he thought, what have I got to lose? I'll go to California. I don't guess I've talked much about Jamison's memorial service. Not that I've been avoiding it, I just kind of forgot to. I guess when I was back in Clarksville this past summer would have been the time to talk about that, but I just didn't get around to it. But we had a memorial service for him at a hotel. A ton of people showed up, more people than could fit in the room. So all the chairs were filled. There were people lining all the walls, and there were people out in the lobby trying to listen, I guess, like outside the door. Jamison's body wasn't there because he died in Colombia, but we had pictures of his art, like portraits he had done of himself and some other stuff. We had those up on display. We had a TV monitor and played a slideshow of pictures of him, pictures of his art, pictures of his Facebook comments and stuff, with some music. The sound kept cutting in and out, which was really awkward, and everybody was dead silent, and like nobody laughed because it would have been, I guess, inappropriate. So it was just a really awkward situation. I got up and went behind the monitor with a girl, a family friend who was helping us to host the event. And we tried to figure out what was up with it, tried to like make sure the cord was in right and stuff. It didn't stop cutting in and out. So I ran out of the room to the front desk of the hotel to ask someone if they could get us a different like cable or something. And at some point someone came out of the room and told me, Jordan, it's working now. So it just corrected itself. It's kind of funny. Jamison always made everything difficult. As a little kid, he was really stubborn, and I was like an easy kid for my parents for the most part, and I followed the rules, and Jamison was really stubborn, very different. Yeah, he made everything difficult, and then of course he would die in Bogota, Colombia, and complicate everything about finding out details, getting his body. We still haven't seen the autopsy report. But yeah, of course he would die in Colombia, and of course, at his memorial service, the audio would cut in and out. I bring up the memorial service because the family got up and some of his friends as well got up and shared stories about him. My mom kind of introduced the event, and she could hardly get through reading what she had prepared. I had to get up and kind of stand there with her, put my arm around her. I went next. I started off okay, said thanks for coming everybody and all that. Started crying, and I had a hard time too, but I ended up recovering. I ended up telling this story about driving to Seattle with him. I talked about how I had been really mean to him a lot as kids, and I said that, I went into detail about that. I brought up how when we shared a room and we were kids, he was crying one night after an argument we had, and I asked him why he was crying, and he said it's the things you always say. So I went into all of that, and then I said that later on, when we were adults, I apologized to him, and I told this story. It was a very positive thing, just me and my brother, driving across the country together, seeing all these new things, just being amazed. I described Northern California, just the beauty of the landscape there, I described it as the DVD cover of Heidi, like the movie Heidi. I think the most promotional material, art and poster stuff related to that movie was of her in the mountains, like dance, like spinning with basket of flowers type thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of Sound of Music. Yeah. Heidi was in the mountains too, right? Whatever. Doesn't matter. I told that story. I saw people in the audience really reacting to it, looking moved, smiling. I kept things off by saying that I made things right with my brother, but that very easily could not have happened. Very easily could not have been the case. He could have died from the stuff he was doing before I ever had a chance to do that, and I would have lived with regret for the rest of my life. So I finished things off by saying, if you have someone in your life that you're having any kind of issue with, you care about them, but you're not on good terms, and you would like to make things right, now is the time. And I said, that's all I got for you, and I went and sat down. Later on, after people were done talking, someone came up and told me that me saying that there at the end had moved him to try and make things right with his brother. Good. I hope anybody watching this can take something. Not that I think I'm a messiah sitting here saying it's kind of basic knowledge, kind of basic conventional wisdom, but it's just true. I consider myself extremely lucky, like close call, that I did have time to apologize to him, and we got to be kind of friends before he died. I consider it's an extremely lucky thing that I won't go through the rest of my life. I feel bad enough already for just how things were when he was a kid between us. I'd feel a lot worse if we hadn't made it better. After I spoke, I don't remember what order all this was. I think next was my grandmother, and she told stories of when he was a kid, like a little kid. She would tell him not to touch the flowers because of the thorns. Like she had flowers in her garden or something. Told him not to touch. He did it anyway when she wasn't looking. Got poked and started crying. And she was like, why did you touch it? I told you not to touch it. And he said, the wind made me do it, which was a lie. The wind did not blow his finger into it. Just didn't listen. Just didn't listen. That was my grandmother's story. A lady who worked at a store in the mall that my mom used to shop at a lot, she would bring us there because we were too young to be at home by ourselves. And so so this lady was familiar with her and with us. I hadn't seen her in years and years though, but she was following up on my story where I talked about how guilty I'd felt about how I'd treated him. And she followed up and told the story of when she worked there and she would see us in there a lot. My mom would be shopping for stuff and she'd be trying on clothes in the dressing room, and I would be with Jamison, apparently keeping him entertained. I don't remember this, but she said that she would check on us, or that my mom would check on us, and that I was always talking to Jamison and keeping his attention and making sure he was entertained and okay, and like not scared that our mom was out of sight. And she said I was a good brother. She said, "You were a good brother. You were a good brother." She said it like that. At that memorial service, that was the first time I think, as far as I remember, that was the first time I had met Stu in person, the guy in the few videos back who talked about how he and Jamison used to go to a rock quarry together, and he and Jamison were fellow artists and best friends in Tennessee. I don't think I'd met him before. Went up to him and said, "Good to finally meet you." Shook his hand, and he was like, "I wish it weren't under these circumstances, but it's good to finally meet you." So that has been a long time coming in this series. I think as far back as the episode where I was sitting in Nice Bro talking about when I helped Jamison, or I tried to help Jamison get a job at a coffee shop and took him to orientation at our college. I think it was that video I kept bringing up this trip and saying I wasn't going to tell it, it was a story for another video. And then I would start telling it by accident. I was just like giving what I thought was kind of background info, but I would have gone on and told the whole story. Just couldn't stop myself. I've now told that story. Thought it was appropriate because it is still really early on in January of 2020. Still not too far out from the new year, from New Year's Day. And all that stuff happened at the end of 2011. That was my new year. Was starting my life in Seattle, pretty much. I think I've said this in a previous video, but my time in Seattle and then leaving and being sad to leave helped me kind of bond a little bit with him when he was sharing his feelings of being sad to leave California. He posted on Facebook this really heartfelt thing about how he's loved California and it's shown him all these amazing things. And he was sad to leave. And I told him that I felt the same. Leaving Seattle, there were times when I was with people and I was packing my stuff or whatever. And I would turn my back to him and cry, like really hard, silently. I'd be like, my body would be shaking, but I didn't want to cry in front of people. But I was just so sad to leave because I loved it so much. And I understood. I understood what he was saying. He'd have been in a place that had changed his life, and he'd seen a lot of personal growth, and he'd been happy and met a lot of people, made a lot of friends that he otherwise never would have met that meant a lot to him. I understood that feeling, and it was nice to be able to share that with him. I wish I had Seattle, he had California. I have Korea now, and he had Colombia, and I wish we could have kept on having parallel lives like this, sharing these details of our lives back and forth. I wish we could have met again. That time that we drove to Seattle together was the second to last time I ever saw him in person. Maybe it was the third to last time. I visited Clarksville 2 more times before he went to California. I guess I saw him both of those times. Okay. Probably did. Yeah, I wish we could have continued being friends into my 30s now and his late 20s and beyond. I wish we could have been middle-aged together. Wish we could have been old together. I wish he could have come to Cheonan to visit me. Could have introduced him to all my friends, shown him around Korea. I think he would have loved it. A lot of things I wish, obviously. I wish he wasn't dead. But, yeah, I'm happy we had that trip together. I guess I'm probably repeating myself, but that's one of my favorite memories of him. That's a big one. I have other favorite memories, I guess with him and just with our family in general, that I'll go into in other videos. But this one seemed appropriate for this one. This memory seemed appropriate for this video. 54 minutes, 34 seconds on the timer here. I've been going for a while. I think we're done. This year's 2020. In about 6 months, it will have been 2 years since he died. I don't know. I don't have much else. I don't know. It's just an observation. I'm still making these videos. Oh, here's another thing. While we were in downtown Seattle, people were like asking us for money. A lot of dishonest people in big cities who prey upon people who don't know for sure if they're telling the truth, but are prone to feeling guilty. Some guy asked for money. Jameson didn't have any money, but he gave him a pack of cigarettes, and the guy took it and said thank you and started to smoke one of them. I think Jameson had pulled those out of like an ashtray, like somebody had left the cigarettes in an ashtray and they were still good, I guess. He didn't know whose they were, he just found them. It was at one of the rest stops along the way. I think he found them days before. That was kind of gross. Whatever. Oh, he also took one of the Days Inn or Holiday Inn tell us about your experience papers, I think, and just drew a cowboy on it, like a stick figure cowboy with big cowboy boots and a hat. And he wrote on it, "I loves cows and boys." I've always thought that was really funny. I kept that for a long time. I think it's finally gone, but I have a picture of it. Alright, I think that about does it. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. Hope 2020 is good for you. Hope 2020 is good for me and my family. If you have anything like this, I guess I will say, in my hometown, the same year Jamison died, 2 other people that I knew died from drugs. And a few weeks ago, another guy I'd known in like elementary school died from drugs. And I've just heard so many stories like this. There's a problem with drugs. There's the opioid crisis. I can't solve that. I can't stop people from doing it. I haven't done them, and I'm not addicted because I haven't done them. So I would say don't do them. And I mean, probably sound condescending, but like, don't do them. Just don't do them. I don't know what else to say. Don't try that stuff. But people still will, and I can't stop that. So I don't really know what I'm going for here. I guess just it's common. It's more common than you think. It probably will happen to people you know. Be vigilant. If you got kids, pay attention and don't trust them. Don't trust teenagers. Don't push them away, but don't trust them too much. There's only so much you can do. Your kids are gonna lie to you sometimes. You got siblings or whatever, reach out to them, do what you can. Friends, whatever, try to make things right. Nothing's guaranteed, you don't know what's gonna happen. I'm spouting postcard advice here, conventional wisdom, banal platitudes. I've now been recording for over an hour. I think it might be time to stop. Have a good year. See you in the next video. I feel like a YouTuber saying that, but see you in the next video. Forgot to say something, and it's gonna drive me crazy if I don't. This is what the weather's like in Seattle a lot in the winter and in the fall. My hand's shaking, it's okay. This can be a shaky video. I like this kind of weather. There's a misconception about Seattle that it rains a lot. It's overcast a lot and consistently, but the rain is really light and misty and on and off. There are places in Texas that get more annual precipitation than Seattle. Seattle just has it spread out more consistently. It's really cold. I wanted to say that. I loved Seattle. I love this kind of weather. This is some of my favorite kind of weather. However, it's really cold, and I'm done being this cold for right now. You have a good year. Goodbye.